Hello and welcome back to Digital Asset Daily. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in your corner of the world. Ripple and XRP's day into court, what this crypto lawyer is anticipating. We're going to get into the article just a little bit so you can see, because there was a new update released today. I did read a great deal of it. I believe it was, I can't even remember, over 420 paragraphs, and it continued. But there was a lot. I kind of screenshot a couple of personal things that I thought were interesting in regards to Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson. Some might view it as a little negative, but I just wanted to keep it for my file. Feel free to check it out. It is very long and very interesting, to say the least. Okay, getting into the article. Ever since U.S. Securities Exchange Commission SEC sued Ripple over illegal securities offering, the outcome of the case had been argued about quite often on crypto Twitter. With the pre-trial conference of the case scheduled for next week, digital currency lawyer at Anderson Kill, Stephen Pally, shared his opinion on the Ripple SEC case in a tweet. Pally said that Ripple was unlikely to win this lawsuit since its crypto XRP has a problem. To begin with, the problem with XRP is that no matter how it's spun, it will always be reducible to a centralized thing with little credible utility in large cash payouts to the small number of people who created, control the thing, and keep getting rich from it. Clarence Darrow couldn't fix that. This is why they will lose if it goes into dispositive motions, trial, or appeal. Earlier, the crypto lawyer suggested how XRP could survive the legal battle and said that Ripple would need to reach a settlement with the federal regulator. The scenario where Ripple could win the lawsuit and replace Howey Test with another new legal identifier for crypto is delusional, he said. So Pally stressed that Ripple, Garlinghouse, and Larson are going to lose, and believe that unless there's a limitations argument or Ripple gets a sympathetic judge, the co-founders will lose and probably settle. Either which way, just sharing the article. I guess time will tell who's actually right on this case. For me, it doesn't affect my investment or my thoughts on it. Still zero doubt for me. Either which way, I've seen, Ken and EOS, they had been basically declared as securities. They paid a penalty, a fine, and they moved on. Even within the very same day, the price increased. So, it is what it is. Pay a penalty and move on. So Ripple and SEC join letter indicates sides are far apart in settlement talks. And again, going through the many paragraphs in the updated article today, I would say absolutely. On the next article, Bitcoin ETF roars in debut with 165 million of trading volume. North America's first Bitcoin ETF got off to a stellar start in its debut, with investors exchanging 165 million USD worth of shares. So that's pretty massive, and it is going to continue growing from there. Now, one thing I do want to update, as I have spent a few hours this week trying to sort things out. It was a little bit challenging because there was zero help from anyone at Ledger. I tried my best to get help from them, but there was none. Once you learn and understand the way their system works, I believe that it's a pretty amazing product. I believe it's extremely safe, and time will tell. But as the past few years, that has proven this much true. One thing that I do want to update, as there's not a lot of clarity, for those who have been here for a few years and have held them on there. It was pretty much just get your asset, drop them on, hold them, till 2025, and then that's your exit strategy. That was the intent. And then there was a handful of assets that needed to be swapped, and I was contacted and had no answers. And that was a little frustrating because I wanted to be very helpful, but it was something that wasn't in my plan to do, so I didn't have the answer. So it kind of forced me to go and find an answer to help those of you who needed help in moving your assets off. But having said that, I did use that because I personally had a few assets too. Wasn't so much of a concern about, but then I said, why don't I swap them too while I'm learning for everyone else? So what's going on here, when you have a Ledger Nano S or a Nano X, when you're on the Ledger, you don't notice the fees as much as if you're on an exchange. When you're on the exchange, you have fees for sending your crypto to a wallet or your digital asset to a wallet. But typically the exchange pulls the fees directly from whatever asset you're sending. But now when you put it on the ledger, if you need to move it back off of the ledger, any of the Ethereum gas fees are pulled directly from Ethereum only. But here's the thing that gets a little confusing, and yet after you do it, it's very simple. Any of your ERC20 tokens, you can also send Ethereum to that exact address. It will be the very same address. If you have Ledger Live, your ERC20 tokens go underneath an Ethereum account. You know, for example, if you have like PundiX, if you had XDCE, if you had Holochain, or take your list of ERC20 tokens, it's all the same. If you send those to the Ethereum address on your ledger, then that's going to identify them underneath. And what was getting confusing to a lot of investors, and is something that I had overlooked myself, didn't really pay attention to just because I only used it to store them. So once they were on, it goes into the vault. So having said that, the question I was getting consistently, especially recently with all of these swaps and the deadlines that were coming this year, people were kind of getting into a critical zone, or I would say probably close to like a little panic area, so they didn't want to lose their assets. Very understandable. It's a whole new space. It's a whole new world, a whole new financial system, and we're all trying to learn this together. No matter how much this may be common sense or common knowledge to many people, you have to remember that you're only part of that top 2% of the planet who are even aware of this. So there's still whatever you know and whatever someone else doesn't know, it's a legitimate experience, because there's 98% of the global population who have no idea what any of this is. So that's where everyone who does understand needs to share their information on that and be a little patient for those who did not. But having said that, any of the Ethereum accounts or ERC20 accounts that you have on your ledger, you can send Ethereum to any one of those addresses and it will cover the fees directly in that. So if you're in your Ledger Live and you're dropping it in, let's just say your Zenfen, your XDCE before the swap, you can dump it right in there. It'll separate on the live on what is what within that same address. It'll show each one of those ERC20 tokens, including Ethereum, separately, and it will identify them clearly and take the fees as needed from that account. So basically a follow-up from yesterday's video. It's really not complicated. It just isn't explained very clearly, and the clarity just simplifies everything. So I hope I made that clear and more understandable, but it's really not complicated, and I do have a simple explanation. If you do need to move your assets, just send Ethereum to that ERC20 token, same address on your Ledger Nano S or X, and it will cover the fees. And pretty much, if you want to break it down a little more specific, if you try to send it, it will tell you the gas fees beforehand, and then you can go to your account and send the exact amount and simplify it for yourself, unless you're already holding Ethereum itself on your Ledger Live. And again, mostly today, just wanted to give you a quick update and then to share what I had learned so that you guys who are asking in direct messages would have answers and know how to get your assets off in time for all of these swaps. All right, guys, remember this is not financial advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. But before we go, as always, I want to leave you with a final thought. Some people dream of success while others wake up and work hard for it. I want to say thanks to Surf and Gary Davison, our VIP patrons. Much love to all of you, and we will catch you in the next one.